Paul Maunder is joining us. Paul Maunder, I believe, is the organiser of the Blackball Readers and Writers Festival. And Mandy Hager, who contacted me, said that potentially at the last Blackball Readers and Writers Festival, this idea came for an open letter to the government from writers to call to an immediate ceasefire, to what's happening in Gaza. Paul Maunder joins us right now from the West Coast. Kia ora and good evening, Paul.
Kia ora, Pat, and kia ora. Yeah.
Good evening.
Now, am I correct with that? This idea that Mandy's told us about, the open letter, was kind of birthed out of the Blackball Readers and Writers Festival?
Yeah, well, this year we had as a theme the role of the writer in this time of crisis. You know,
Yep.
the crisis, all sorts of crises, but probably referring to, if you like, the breakdown of the global order, which has been happening. And so we had a session where writers all had done some short pieces on that topic, and in terms of what the role of the writer is. And out of that came, I'd read that the British writers had sent an open letter, and the French writers had. So we thought that it would be very good to give the opportunity for New Zealand writers to voice their concerns and their, you know, their stance on the particular issue of what was happening in Gaza.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's have a look.
Mandy was a very logical person.
Let's have a look at this is Mandy's website, but she's also got the letter on there. Aotearoa writers demand immediate Gaza ceasefire. We, the undersigned writers of Aotearoa, New Zealand, ask our government and the peoples of the world to join us in ending our collective silence and inaction in the face of horror. 18 months ago, the Palestinian poet Hibi Abu Nada was killed by Israeli airstrikes. In her poem, A Star said yesterday, she imagined for the people of Gaza cosmic refuge, something utterly unlike the constant lethal danger they now face, from the poem. And if one day, O light, all the galaxies of the entire universe had no more room for us, you would say, enter my heart, there you would finally be safe. The letter goes on to the undersigned as well: Dame Fiona Kidman, Dr. Patricia Grace, Harriet Allen, Marilyn Duckworth, Fleur Beale, Dr. Pip Adam, and so on and so on and so on. I believe when this was first released, there was 150 signatories. Is that still where we're at today?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there are probably more now because as the word spreads, writers want to put their name to it.
Yeah. So this was delivered or sent to Christopher Luxon, the Prime Minister. Has there been any response?
Yeah, and Winston Peters, of course, as the Minister.
And Winston, of course. Yep. Has there been any response from within government?
Yeah. I wouldn't think so as yet. I mean, it's early days. Nope.
Yeah. What about within society? What's the response?
So I mean, well, I'm not sure. It's comments are on. People can make comments on Mandy's website. I think this will be a bit of osmosis going here. I mean, for the first time, in some ways, New Zealand writers have collectively made a statement about something. I was disappointed during the 1990s, you know, the whole neoliberal saga, that writers really didn't voice an opinion during that time. So I think that's probably, we're slowly assuming a greater social role, put it that way, in these particular times of endless crisis, really.
In an ideal world, Paul,
you know,
what comes
Mandy,
from this open letter?
You know, why writers? Well, I mean, what comes is there is, I suppose, slowly build some sort of national opinion that the government has to respond to more vigorously than they're doing at the moment. I mean, they're hedging their bets have all along. Why weren't we supporting the South African case at the International Court of Justice? Why aren't we part of the Hague group that's recently met? And, finally countries doing something more coherent and as a response. It'd be really good if New Zealand were there. Would have been really good if we were supporting South Africans in their case. So, just fronting up basically rather than just sort of mouthing some platitudes every now and then, which is what we've been doing.
It sounds like what this may be is another layer.
So, how you build that.
Another layer on top of another layer of all sorts of conversations that have been going on. Chewie, do you want to jump in?
Absolutely.
I think you raise an
absolutely.
interesting point there.
How is a sort of really built?
I think you raise an interesting point of just how to build a national movement, a feeling of conscience, and it has to come from so many sectors of society, and the arts has always been one that has stood up in the face of justice, and I think it's one of the only things in this country that has always been on the right side of history. So I think it's an important thing.
Yeah, you need the unions, you need the health workers, you need the teachers, you need all those people in society saying, enough is enough, and as a nation, as a country, we have to be on the right side of things. And we're a long way away, obviously, and small, but nevertheless, you look at Ireland. Ireland's had a very strong voice on this whole issue, and they're a pretty small country, but they've been out there, telling the truth. Basically, it's about people telling the truth, isn't it? And writers should be telling the truth. It's for sure. And being brave, and obviously writers are there to penetrate bullshit and know when they hear bullshit and so on. So that's a task that we have, really. And so everything counts, I think, in this whole business. Same with the sort of, if you look at past campaigns, the nuclear-free Pacific and no nuclear ships here, and all those successful campaigns are just voices being added until eventually politically that's what has to happen. Put it that way.
Paul, the letters now
we
out
don't
there,
expect
and people
wonders from this government, really.
are able to read it and see it. What do you want to see, just as we wrap this conversation, one last thing, what do you want to see the public do from here? Like, what do you writers need help with to get your message through?
Well, people just to circulate it, to read it, to put it on their social media and so on, just so that it starts to sort of be registered. That's always the thing. How do you register these things in a world full of information, really? Eh? So but initially you write the book, and then it starts to circulate, permeate, whatever.
Well, listen, Paul, it's been fantastic you coming and joining us for a few minutes tonight. We really appreciate your time. I guess people can go straight to Mandy's website, which is mandyhager.com. But also, if you just Google, which I just did as well, Aotearoa Writers Demand Immediate Gaza Ceasefire, there's other places to find it as well if people want to get a hold of it and actually share it around. So thank you for speaking up. Paul, thank you for being a part of this letter, and we wish you all the best with your ongoing activities and actions, especially in the area of ceasefires in Gaza. It's interesting, Chewie, because I will never forget, I think it was the first time we ever had Chloe on the show, and her conversation was always, what can we do next? And it's like, organise. Remember, it's like just organise, community organise. And this feels like that. Like I said, it feels like, I think we all know delivering, Luxon a letter is not going to do very much tangible stuff, but it's another layer. And it's another layer, and it's another layer. And at some stage, the layers might be too big they may have to address them, because if they don't, they're going to break the back of the whatever it is that's carrying all those layers. So it's awesome.
Do you know what strikes me about this? Something like this, something that's come very organically out of a writers' festival, and a feeling of writers and artists that they're a segment of society that needs to stand up and be counted, is the authenticity, right? This is very clearly an honest feeling in that group, and they've decided to do something about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you the other side of that.
Okay.
So, a wee while ago, a few weeks back, the Dunedin City Council decided to have a vote about condemning what's going on in Gaza, and doing their best to avoid anything to do with the Israeli regime at the moment. And it was a close vote, but it's something that a lot of people in Dunedin feel very closely. We've got a lot of Palestinian and Middle Eastern refugees in this town, and
still every Saturday, as far as we know. There's since day one, I think every Saturday. I mean, like, let's be fair. Maybe on Christmas, maybe there wasn't. I don't know. But as far as we understand, still every Saturday, 1:00 in the Octagon, there are protests going on. So yeah.
And again, that is a local, authentic movement. So here's the counter argument. Dunedin's mayor and councillors have been flooded with thousands of emails after declaring their support for the Green Party's proposal to sanction Israeli politicians. Each elected member of the Dunedin City Council has received more than 2,000 emails in what they have described as an orchestrated backlash to their support of the Unlawful Occupation of Palestine Sanctions Bill.
So hang on. So this is. I'm just wanting to be clear, because it sounds like it's the reverse of what our council would normally do. They're saying, yes, we're supporting the Palestinians, the DCC.
Correct. It was a knife. It was a knife edge vote.
Yep.
Your usual offenders were just like, well, what have we got to do with it? And the other half of the council was like, we should call this out, because we can. This is something we can do. But because of that feeling of the fact that it was quite a close vote, or because it's been in the news cycle a little bit, there's been an orchestrated email campaign against the councillors that voted for it. But it's the details about these emails. The broad, impersonal emails seen by Radio New Zealand criticise anti-Israel resolutions that unjustly vilify Israel and ask the recipients to not call for a financial and military aid boycott of Israel. They began flooding in from about 1:30 a.m., each of them with a slightly different subject line. So this is an orchestrated, coordinated campaign from outside of our time zone.
Right.
So it's not authentic.
Yeah, because of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody's farmed something out to a website or paid a bot farm or whatever to come up with a campaign that tries to show a broad amount of support for Israel, but it's not authentic. It's constructed, and it's incredibly see-through. So I think when you're talking about a movement, or contacting your councillor, or contacting your MP, this is the difference. Yes, they might get bombarded with emails, but authenticity always stands out. Form letters fade into the background. A bot-farmed email campaign is so easy to spot. And something from outside of New Zealand is noticeable because other people don't talk like us. They don't use the language that we use.
Yeah.
It's not authentic.
It is interesting, though, because like we've been very clear that if in the Regulatory Standards Bill one line is enough to be a valid, submission. So if done well, bot farms do actually, they're a problem. And like if those had been sent at 9 a.m. rather than 1:30, I wonder if people would have thought, even they might have thought it's orchestrated, but it's from within New Zealand. Does that make it more valid? This is the difficulty to figure out with the submission process and how to receive submissions, I guess.
And even a question of scale, like Dunedin's not a big city, and there's always going to be, like, as far as a percentage of your population that's going to get up and do something, like email a councillor. You know, it scales with the city, right? So even if it's a hot button issue, how many people are actually going to go that far? And in my imagination, for Dunedin City Councillors to get over 2,000 emails about a single topic, no matter what the time zone, it stands out as like, well, this is fucking weird.
Yeah, you say how many people would do it according to that report? Apparently 2,284 people is what they want us to believe would do it. So just to be precise, and all of them. And that's the other way. If it goes to all of the same emails, go to all of the councillors or something. Yeah.